friends, today we are starting a new series of subject which is theory of structure. In this subject, I will be starting with the first video of types of load and how to find the reaction. So let us see why we require to find reaction and at the same time how the load is transmitted. I give you a very simple example of a chair. So if you see, this is a chair with its seat and this is the frame. So what happens when you sit here on this area, the load and when back at this part, then the load is transmitted to these two frames. Okay. And this load is transmitted to these two beams. Okay. Now, when these beams are resting on another two beams, which are these two. So, these beams transmit the load as assuming UDL to these beams. Then, these beams transfer the load to the column in this direction, and these column transfer the load to the ground, and ground gives the reaction. So there is a Newton's third law is applicable everywhere. So when seat is applied a load downward, this gives the reaction upward and takes the load at the same time. Now, if you see the load, then in RCC we will discuss this in detail, but a small part I will discuss here, which is the yield line theory. So how the load is transmitted? The load is transmitted in this fashion. Clear? So we do not have the load supports here. So load will not pass in this way. That is the yield line theory of RCC. But if you see, then how the load will transmit now? The load will transmit half the load in this direction and half the load in this direction. Clear? So you will be having a rectangular loading on these two beams. Now these two beams are fitted at these points by a bolt. Clear? So these beams, these lower beams, will have the reactions. So if you take these horizontal beams, they are resting on two bolts. So the reaction, the load coming is like this. And when I talk about these two beams, these beams, then this column will be treated as like this reaction, and this column will be treated as this reaction. And I will be having these two bolts as two reaction. Clear? So this is the load transfer mechanism of a simple chair. I am emphasizing this so that I can tell you that finding a load is very important. If you don't find the load correctly, then your whole calculation will be wrong, as we see in this chair example. So first we will concentrate on load and then we will proceed ahead. So before finding the reaction, it becomes important to understand load and the classification of load also. So I have developed the chapter which is known as type of load. The first and the most common type of the load is a point load. Before starting this, I want to emphasize on one more thing, which is a force. So what is a force? Force is a vector quantity. So when I say vector, it means it has some direction and some magnitude. Now in our case, direction will be the sign. So sign convention becomes important. Now if you take point load, the point load in 2 dimension can be acted by 2 ways, horizontal or vertical. So horizontal and vertical. So this is my vertical and this is my horizontal. Now I can have horizontal force in these 2 ways and vertical force in these 2 ways. So what is my work is? My work is to develop a sign convention. In the entire course, I will be take upward as positive and downward as negative. So whenever in the vector form I will be writing the force, if I write equation in vertical direction and I put negative, it means my direction of force is downward. And same, if I write summation v equal to 0 and I put plus sign, it shows that my force is upward. So this is the meaning of the direction. Similarly for horizontal, the force acted towards the right hand side will be taken as positive and the force acted on left hand side will be taken as negative. So whenever I am writing the equation summation h equal to 0 and I am putting plus sign, it automatically shows that the direction of the load is towards the right hand side. Similarly, if I put negative, it means the force is in the downward direction. So this is the first job. Now second is the magnitude. You can divide magnitude again into 2 parts. One is some constant and another is unit. So I can say 10 kilonewton, 20 Newton, 30 kg, W kilonewton, P kilonewton. So what does the 10 means? 10 means the magnitude. And unit also becomes important. What is the unit of 10? So 10 unit is kilonewton, W kilonewton. So how we will define a force? Now whenever I want to write this force, I will write it as minus 10 because it acts downward. If I have to write this force, I will write it as plus 50. Similarly, if a force is acting in this direction, I will say, let us say this force is H and its default unit is kilonewton, then what I will say? Plus H. So plus shows my direction and H shows my magnitude with the unit of kilonewton. So this is about a point load. Now this is about the force. Now we talk about the point load. What is a point load? Point load is a load which acts at a length of dl tends to 0. So dl is equal to 0. Clear? And rest I have discussed that what will be if I say it is P, then as per my sign convention what I will say, it is minus P. So this is a point load. Now we come to the second type of the load, which is uniformly distributed load. So what is a uniformly distributed load? It is a load which is applied at some distance. So here dl is having some value. Here dl is my 5 meter. Clear? So dl is 5 meter and this value is known as intensity. This value is known as intensity of loading. So what 10 kilonewton meter represent? It represent that if you move in 1 meter direction, you will get a total load of 10 kilonewton. This is known as intensity. And for UDL, this intensity is constant throughout the length of the load. So what does that mean? The profile of UDL is a rectangle. This is important, that the profile is rectangle. I have written in my notes also, the geometry of UDL is rectangle. So whenever you are using this, I have seen many people write UDL like this. It is a representation. It doesn't mean that the profile is some curve. It is just a representation of UDL. But I advise you that you try to make rectangle as a loading, not this curve shape. This is not a good practice. Try to draw rectangle. So this is about the UDL. So what we learn about the UDL, that the UDL is having intensity constant throughout the length. Now comes the third type of load, which is varying distributed load. What is a varying distributed load? Varying distributed load is a load whose intensity changes at every distance. So you take this, so what you find, that the intensity of the load is 10 kilonewton here, but this intensity is less than 10. This is again less, this is less, and finally here it reaches to 0. So that is the meaning of varying distributed load. It can be of many types. The first is triangular, in which the variation of the intensity will be linear. The load is decreasing linearly. See the another type of varying distributed load. In this, if you move towards the right hand side, then we will say the intensity is increasing. Okay, 5 here and 10 here. Intensity is continuously increasing. If you take this, then this is semicircle. So the intensity is varying in a semicircle way. Similarly here, it is a cyclic curve. Clear? And this is a curve having a function y equal to fx as its intensity. So in varying distributed load, at every point the intensity varies. That's why we have a meaning varying. That is the meaning definition of varying. Clear? So these are the mainly three type of the load. There is one more type of the load, which I will say it is a load only, which is movement. In this entire course, we will treat movement as a force. Clear? So what is movement? Movement is again we can say a vector quantity. It has a direction. So what will be my direction sign convention? My sign convention will be clockwise, positive, and anti-clockwise, negative. So I will be writing, if I say, if I write a moment plus 10 kilonewton meter, then this is its unit, this is the value, and this shows that the value is positive, and it means that clockwise because it is plus. If I write minus m, it means the force is movement and its unit is kilonewton meter, and negative means that it is anti-clockwise. So friends, this is basically three or four type of the forces or the loads which we encounter in our day-to-day life. Now, before moving ahead, it's important, one thing is very important now, which is to understand how to convert the load into point load. What we will do, we will convert all the loads into point load for our calculation purpose. So for calculation, I will be requiring the loads, which is UDL. Point load is itself a point load, so no need to convert, but convert UDL to a point load. And what is the principle? Principle is very simple, how to convert it. So what is it? Find the area of the geometry. I repeat, it is area of the geometry. So what is the area of the geometry? I just proved that the area of the geometry of the UDL is a rectangle. So what will be its area? Area will be area of a rectangle. So how much it is? 10 into 5, 50. So 50 is the total load acting in this span. Clear? Now, where to place this point load? Second important aspect is where to place this point load. So let us see what I am doing. So now I know that total load is 50 kilonewton and it will be acted at center of gravity. So what is the center of gravity of rectangle? The center of gravity of rectangle is at the equal distance from both the sides. So this is my equivalent point load for rectangle. Clear? So whenever I have rectangle and I need to convert it to point load, what I will do? I will put a point load of value equal to area of rectangle and I put it at the center of gravity. Similarly, for this triangle, if you take this triangle, what will be its equivalent point load? Its equivalent point load will be the area. So what is the area? Area is half into 5 into 10. So we get 25. So 25 is the value. Now where to put? You put it at the center of gravity. So center of gravity is what? It is 1/3. So it is 5/3 from left and 2 5/3 from right. I repeat, it is 2 into 5/3. So that is the load 25 which is acted. So this is very important for finding the reaction and for writing the shear force bending moment diagram. Similarly, you take this. This is a good example, and many students just ask me that they found very difficult in solving trapezoidal loading. So I have one solution for them. If it's good that you remember the formula of trapezoid loading, but if you don't remember the formula of trapezoid loading, then you can do one thing. What it is that? You divide the trapezoid loading into two parts. One is rectangle and one is triangle. So rectangular loading is of intensity 5 because this total is 10, and triangular intensity is also 5. So if I have to convert this, then what I will have? 3 meter. Now rectangular loading is how much? Rectangular, it will be 5 into 5, which is 25. Where I will place? I will place it at 1.5 meter from both the sides. Now if you take this triangular loading, then what is this value of this triangular loading? It will be 25/2. That is the area. Now where I should place this? 1 meter from this part, because the center of gravity of right angle triangle from right hand side is 1/3. So where I will place this? I will place this at this point, and it will be 25/2 at a distance of 1 meter from here and 2 meter from here, and then I will use it as it is required by me. So friends, this is very important, and you will enjoy this thing when you will be calculating the reaction and writing the shear force and bending moment equation. That will be just very simple for you if you follow these instructions. Clear? Now some formula you have to remember. Clear? So I have taken few of the example which you can see in my note section. So you can go to the website and download this chapter and check it by yourself. Now I have given some important areas and centroid. I request you that you remember it, because I will be requiring them very frequently. Especially I give you 5 which is very important: parabola, parabola is Prandtl, semi-parabola, semicircle, if you remember it's okay, but I will not be requiring much. This type of the triangle, and trapezoid I have already given that you can divide the trapezoid into triangle and rectangle. So if you feel you can remember this formula, then the calculation will be less, but you have to remember, otherwise you can use this. Now if you see this triangle, this is very good. This is a triangle, and its apex from the left hand side is at a distance of a, and total width is b and height is h. Then area will be same, half b into h, but what is the center of gravity? Center of gravity from the point from which you are calculating the apex is x is equal to 1 by 3 a plus b. So this is a good formula to remember. So if you convert it to right angle triangle, what you get? This is my right angle triangle, and if I am calculating apex from here, then my apex will be b and my total width is also b. So what is my x bar? X bar is 1 by 3rd of 2b. Is it okay? So how much distance is from here, center of gravity? It is 2b by 3. Same you can apply the formula if apex is calculated from here. If apex is calculated from here, then you will get 1 by 3 a plus b again, but it is apex is from this distance. X bar is calculated from right hand side, not from left hand side. So this is a good formula. I request you to please remember it. So I will be directly using these things. Similarly for parabolic spindle. What is a parabolic spindle? If you don't go into mathematical part, I will tell you it in a very simple way, that the tangent, inclination of the tangent is increasing continuously. So if you see here, the tangent slope is 0, but here the tangent slope is more than 0. Okay, it is increasing. That is what I mean to say. So that type of the curve is known as parabolic spindle. Now similarly, semi-parabola. So what is a semi-parabola? Semi-parabola is a parabola in which the slope here is maximum, and then it is decreasing, and here it is minimum. So this is your semi-parabola. Clear? So this is my maximum parabola, and this is my minimum maximum slope, and here I have minimum slope, and its area is 2/3. So if you see one thing, I just want you that you have easy to remember. If you have this thing and I draw a parabola, I am unable to draw it correctly. Let's draw it again. This way. So this is a rectangle of, let us say, height h and width b. Then my spindle parabola will be this, and my semi parabola will be this. So what is this area? This area is 1/3 of BH, and this area is 2/3 of BH. So 1/3 of BH and 2/3 of BH. So by rectangle you can easily remember this thing. So friends, thank you very much for patiently listening this video. From next video onward, I will be using the numerical part and try to make you understand about the degrees of freedom, how to find the reaction in simply supported beam, overhang beam with any type of loading, and cantilever. This is very important because most of the question starts with finding the reaction. Or if you want to draw shear force bending moment diagram, then the first requisite is how to find a reaction. So I will be handling how to find the reaction in the next part. So do watch my this second video so that you have the continuity. If you like the video, please give the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Feel free to WhatsApp me on this number for any doubt or explanation.